Ever feel like you're literally drowning on dry land? You know, trying to balance the insane pressure of those pitch-black early morning training sessions with the crushing weight of heavy school books and endless daily assignments? If you're a student-athlete or if you coach them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're decoding the science of youth-athlete burnout. We're looking specifically at the brutal realities faced by canoe sprint athletes who are trying to survive the incredibly rigorous daily academic system in Singapore. We're going to dig into why this burnout happens, what it physically does to a growing body, and most importantly, the exact playbook for preventing it. All right, let's jump right in.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The ultimate juggling act. 2. The demands of the boat. 3. The overflowing stress bucket. 4. Consequences of overtraining. 5. Spotting the warning signs. And 6. The prevention playbook.
Section 1. The ultimate juggling act. Student and competitor.
First off, we've got to validate the intense, everyday reality these young athletes face. I mean, it is a brutal combination, right? Waking up for a 6 a.m. water session, completely emptying the tank, pushing your body to its absolute physical limits, and then you don't get to go back to bed. You head straight into the massive, looming shadow of Singapore's daily academic grind. And we're not just talking about exam season. It's the long school hours, the evening tuition classes, the endless homework, the daily commute on the MRT, the parental expectations. None of that hits pause just because you had a killer morning paddle.
Which brings us to this crucial term, the dual-career athlete. You aren't just playing a sport for fun. You are literally balancing elite physical conditioning with a massive cognitive load. And here's the biggest takeaway I want you to get from this. Your exhaustion, it's a biologically proven reality. It is not just a feeling or a lack of willpower. You are demanding your body to perform at its absolute peak in two completely different arenas at the exact same time.
Section 2. The demands of the boat. Aerobic versus anaerobic.
Let's talk about the massive physiological engine you need just to propel a canoe sprint boat. Canoe sprint demands this crazy hybrid engine. Think about it. If you're racing a short 200-meter sprint, you're relying almost entirely on anaerobic power. About 63% of your energy is just short, explosive bursts. But pivot to a 1,000-meter race, and suddenly you need a massive aerobic engine providing over 80% of your energy. That means athletes are forced into intense concurrent training. They have to build explosive neuromuscular strength and deep cardiovascular endurance concurrently.
And upper body muscular endurance is absolutely vital here. The data is super clear. How well you do in a 2-minute bench pull strongly correlates with your on-water times. It gives us a huge predictive value for 500-meter races. This is why heavy strength conditioning isn't just a nice-to-have, it directly dictates how fast that boat moves. But as you can probably guess, building that kind of armor takes a massive toll on a body that's still growing.
And let's talk about that growth, because biological age totally changes the game. During adolescence, your actual age often doesn't match your biological age. Adolescent males typically hit this prolonged window where their natural strength and muscle mass just explode post-puberty, which lets them absorb a ton of heavy mechanical training. Female athletes, though, it's a different story. They often hit an early plateau in natural strength gains and have to deal with complex anatomical shifts, like widening of the pelvis. Because of those structural changes, combined with the high training volumes, young female paddlers face a way higher risk of musculoskeletal injury. They absolutely require targeted smart core and strength conditioning to stay in one piece.
Section 3. The overflowing stress bucket, brain and body collision.
Okay, let's map this out on a calendar. Take a look at the Singaporean academic year, running right alongside a typical canoe sprint season. It's wild. Notice how peak exam stress in May, and then again for O and A levels in October and November, crashes directly into the most brutal competitive training cycles and nationals. These kids are navigating a continuous, high-pressure cooker with literally zero breathing room.
And here's where the biology hits hard. Your brain's alarm system, the HPA axis, is completely blind. It absolutely cannot tell the difference between the physical strain of grinding out a 2,000-meter paddle and the psychological panic of sitting down for a math exam. To your brain, stress is just stress. It all pours into the exact same bucket. When your physical training stays heavy while academic pressure spikes, your body's rest and digest system, the parasympathetic nervous system, just completely shuts down. We call this a massive allostatic load. The bucket is overflowing.
Section 4. Consequences of overtraining, the breaking point.
So what happens when that stress bucket inevitably spills over? Well, the science is firm, and honestly, it's a bit scary. When you're stuck in chronic sympathetic dominance, meaning your fight or flight switch is duct taped to the on position, your body starts pumping out a constant stream of cortisol. And cortisol literally eats your muscle tissue for energy. It heavily suppresses your immune system, making you catch every bug going around school. Worse, it drops your bone mineral density right when puberty demands your bones grow stronger, setting you up for stress fractures. And mentally, it leads to total emotional exhaustion, cynicism about the sport, and a complete physiological crash known as non-functional overreaching.
Now compound all that stress with this insane number, 5,000. Growing youth athletes can burn up to 5,000 kilocalories a day during peak training weeks. Think about that. When you combine the massive metabolic demands of just going through normal puberty with the crazy energy expenditure of a daily paddler, it's so easy to fall into a massive energy deficit. This triggers REDS, or relative energy deficiency in sport. Your body basically panics and shuts down non-essential functions like reproductive and growth hormones just to keep you walking around.
Section 5. Spotting the warning signs. Your body's dashboard.
So how do we, as athletes or coaches, spot this crash before the wheels completely fall off? Well, if the overflowing stress bucket is the problem, heart rate variability, or HRV, is the ultimate check engine light. HRV measures the tiny, microscopic variations in time between your heartbeats. It tells us exactly what's going on under the hood, whether your nervous system is actually recovering or if it's stuck redlining in overdrive. If you see a dropping HRV trend, that is an objective, blaring red flag that the athlete isn't absorbing their training and is incredibly vulnerable to getting sick or injured.
But gadgets aren't everything. We need subjective data too. We can easily track daily subjective training load by simply multiplying the duration of a session by how hard the athlete actually felt it was, like on a scale of 1 to 10. And you ask them this about 30 minutes after they get off the water. This is huge because it lets coaches track the actual toll the workload is taking on that specific day, rather than just blindly following what was written on the whiteboard.
And putting all that data together gives us the acute to chronic workload ratio. Look at the left side here. This is the sweet spot. If you maintain a ratio between 0.8 and 1.3, you're safely and effectively building fitness. But look at the right. A ratio of 1.5 or higher means you've spiked your workload way too fast compared to what your body's prepared for. When you hit a dangerous spike like that, especially during a high-stress school week, your injury risk absolutely skyrockets.
Section 6. The Prevention Playbook, Unclogging the Drain.
All right, let's get into the most important part, the solutions. We've got 3 fundamental, science-backed steps to keep that stress bucket draining efficiently. We have to start treating sleep, nutrition, and adaptable training as actual medicine. Literally. If you want to perform at a high level without breaking down, none of these are optional.
Step 1 is sleep. And I know, easier said than done in Singapore. Adolescent athletes need 8 to 9 hours a night. Yet so many are scraping by on fewer than 7, sometimes under 4 during exams. Why is this a disaster? Because the biggest daily pulse of growth hormone, the exact magical hormone your body uses to repair muscle and build bone, only happens during deep, slow-wave sleep. When you're up late mugging for exams or scrolling on your phone soaking in blue light, you are literally robbing your body of its completely free, natural repair mechanism.
Step 2 and 3 involve a total mindset shift in how we train. We've got to ditch old-school rigid linear periodization, the stick-to-the-plan no matter what mentality. Instead, we need smart autoregulation. Autoregulation means adjusting the sails when the academic storm hits. If an athlete is drowning in project deadlines or exams, coaches need to dynamically adapt. Pull back on the high-intensity anaerobic sprints that fry the nervous system and pivot to lower-intensity aerobic maintenance. Keep the athletes moving, keep the blood flowing, but drastically lower the tax on their nervous system.
I really want to leave you with this thought. For all the incredibly dedicated young athletes and the hard-working coaches tuning in, resting is not a weakness. Skipping or modifying a workout because you have 3 massive exams this week isn't giving up. It's strategy. True high performance requires profound rest. Rest is a competitive weapon. It's the only way you guarantee you actually make it to the starting line healthy and ready to fire.
So I want you to look at your own life or the lives of the athletes you coach. The stress is coming from all angles. The boat, the books, the lifestyle, the expectations. What is one tap, just one, that you can turn off today to keep that stress bucket from overflowing? Is it putting the phone in another room an hour before bed? Is it finally having an honest conversation with your coach about your academic workload this week? Think about it. Take control of your dual career journey today. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.